She left without warning. One day she was in your arms, telling you she loved you. The next, silence. You checked your phone 100 times, replayed every conversation, overthought every word. You told yourself, she just needs space. She'll come back. You believed if you just gave her time, she'd realize what she lost. But deep down, another voice whispered something darker. What if she never comes back? What if she's already moved on? What if you've been replaced and she doesn't even miss you? You're not alone. Thousands feel this right now. They're ghosted, ignored, forgotten, still loyal to someone who vanished like they never existed. No contact is what everyone preaches, but I'll say it straight. No contact is not enough. And if you're counting days, still hoping for her return, still watching her stories, you're not doing no contact. You're doing emotional slavery with silence as the leash. Today, we destroy that mindset. This video isn't comfort. It's confrontation. You deserve the truth. Brutal, painful, liberating truth. This isn't about her. This is about you. What you become during no contact determines whether she regrets leaving or forgets you completely. You have the power to transform into someone who doesn't just move on, but outgrows her existence. You're not here to beg. You're here to rise. Comment below, I rise in silence. Number 1, stop hoping she'll come back. You're sitting there right now wondering what she's doing. You tell yourself you're strong, but deep inside, there's a voice whispering, maybe she still thinks of me. Maybe she's just confused. Maybe she'll come back when she realizes what we had. But the harsh, unfiltered truth. She's not thinking about you. She's not confused. She didn't forget to text you. She didn't just need space. She left because in her mind, she could. And the more you sit in that illusion, the more you hope, the more you wait, the more you delay your own greatness. You think no contact is you being disciplined, but if you're checking her stories, rereading old texts, picturing her next to someone else, and feeling that knot twist in your gut, you're not doing no contact, you're doing quiet desperation. You've just muted the noise, but you haven't muted the obsession. She left you emotionally bleeding, and yet you still romanticize the wound. You hold on to the idea of her, not the reality. The woman you miss isn't real anymore. She existed in moments, not as a constant. She was a season, and you're trying to make winter stay in summer. You need to understand what really happened. She didn't just leave, she measured your value, your strength, your presence, your edge, and decided she could do better. That should not break you. It should awaken you. She chose a world without you. So now you build a world that outgrows her memory. While you wait, she's exploring. While you doubt yourself, she's being desired by someone who doesn't even know your name. That should make you furious. Not at her, but at yourself, forever needing someone to validate your worth. You think silence makes her miss you, but silence without change is just empty noise. What are you doing during no contact? Scrolling? Fantasizing? Wasting hours imagining a reunion? You think she's out there regretting you, but she's not. She's enjoying her decision because she doesn't feel your absence as a loss, and that's because you've made yourself invisible, not magnetic. Want her to regret leaving? Then become unforgettable. Want her to wonder about you? Then become unrecognizable. You do that by redirecting every ounce of that heartbreak into obsession, not over her, but over your evolution. You wake up early. You hit the gym like your soul depends on it. You build your body until the mirror commands respect. You silence your emotions with action. You study the male-female dynamics that school never taught you. You read books that build your mind. You cut off corn, cut off social media stalking, cut off friends who weaken your path. You build a frame so strong no woman can bend it. You start a side hustle. You fix your posture. You learn to fight, not for violence, but so your body learns what strength feels like. You embrace discomfort, cold showers, fasting, discipline. You face your demons. You sit with your loneliness until it no longer scares you. You become a man that doesn't beg for love, but earns loyalty. The truth is, she expected you to break. She thought you'd spiral. She thought you'd crawl back with "I miss you" texts. She expected you to post sad quotes. She thought your world would pause for her absence. But what if, instead of crumbling, you used her exit as fuel to build a man she wouldn't even dare approach now? What if her leaving wasn't rejection, but permission for rebirth? Right now, you have a choice. Wait for someone who walked away, or walk into the life that makes her forgettable. Do you want to be the man who sends "I miss you" texts at 2 a.m., or the man she checks on silently from a burner account because your glow-up burns her ego? Ask yourself, if she saw me now, would she feel loss or relief? And if the answer is relief, then you've got work to do. No contact is not just silence, it's war. A war against the emotional codependency that made you put her on a pedestal. A war against the weakness that made you tolerate disrespect. A war against the fantasy you're still addicted to. During no contact, every day is a battlefield. You either build or break. You either rise or rot. And most men rot, quietly, politely, praying for closure. But closure isn't given. It's built through discipline. Do you want closure? Then outgrow her memory. Become so focused on your grind that she becomes a blurred chapter in a book she's no longer allowed to read. You owe her nothing, not one more thought, not one more tear. You don't exist to prove your worth to someone who couldn't see it. You exist to become a version of yourself that commands respect, without words, without explanation. You think she'll miss you because you're silent. No. She'll miss you when your silence becomes evidence of your evolution, when she realizes she no longer has access to the man you became, when she sees that the comfort you once gave now belongs to someone who earned it. The goal isn't to get her back, it's to get you back. The real you. The primal, focused, purpose-driven version that got buried under validation-seeking, approval-hungry behaviors. You miss her because she represented comfort, she represented identity, but she also represented stagnation. She didn't challenge you, she tamed you, she softened you, and now you get to rebuild, brick by bloody brick. This isn't about bitterness, this is about boundaries. She left, good, now building. And when she resurfaces, as most do, you won't even flinch, because you'll realize the version of you she abandoned was never the man you were meant to be. That man is forged now, in silence, in sweat, in hunger, in self-respect. So stop checking your phone, stop scrolling her feed, stop wondering if she'll come back. She doesn't deserve the new you. And you don't need her memory to stay motivated. Move with purpose, dress with presence, speak with power. And when the doubt creeps in, when the loneliness screams, when your mind tells you to reach out, go harder, train more, build more, earn more, think deeper, read longer, sleep less, speak less, move smarter. Become so dangerous to your old self that she wouldn't even recognize the soul standing in your eyes. This is your era. This is the silent season where kings are made. While others hope, you evolve. While others wait, you win. While others beg, you build. Be the man who never needed her to feel worthy. Be the man who thanks her, not for staying, but for leaving, because her absence gave you one priceless gift, your resurrection. You rise now, not for revenge, not for validation, but because deep down, even you forgot how powerful you were before she made you doubt it. Now you remember, and now you build like a man on fire. Number 2, look in the mirror and face the truth. You're not where you are by accident. You're here because of decisions, because of patterns, because of blind spots you refuse to see. She didn't vanish overnight. She detached slowly, day by day, while you stayed the same, predictable, safe, tame. You look at the mirror, but you don't see yourself. You see a shell built from comfort, weakness, emotional dependence, and an identity crafted around her attention. You think she woke up one day and stopped loving you. No. She outgrew the illusion she had of you, the one you kept fueling by being passive, agreeable, and weak. You became a routine, and women don't leave men they admire. They leave the ones who forgot how to lead, how to inspire, how to ignite that primal respect that can't be faked. And before she left you, she tested you. She threw signals. She questioned your ambition. She pulled back emotionally. She started being distant. She stopped being affectionate. You noticed, but instead of drawing a line, you begged, you tolerated, you compromised, you tried harder to win back a woman who was losing respect for you by the second. Because you thought being available was strength. You thought patience would win her back. You thought proving how much you cared would make her stay. But the moment you tried to earn her loyalty after she began withdrawing it, you lost her. You traded your masculine core for comfort. You let her lead. You let her control the tone, the direction, the power. And once she realized she had all of it, she lost attraction. Not because she's cruel, but because women are biologically programmed to crave strength, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. She needs to feel your presence like gravity. She needs to feel your words like steel. She needs to feel your absence like a wound. And you gave her softness, you gave her apologies, you gave her unlimited access to your emotions. You gave her your heart on a silver platter, but forgot to give her a reason to respect the man holding it. That's why you need to look in the mirror and finally confront what you've been denying. That you became comfortable in your weakness, that you let her energy eclipse yours, that you let her body be the reward instead of demanding she align with your values. And now, during no contact, this is your sacred season. Not to miss her, not to stalk her, not to mourn the old dynamic, but to dissect your entire framework and rewire from the ground up. You need to get brutally honest. What does your life look like without a woman in it? Can you lead yourself? Can you discipline yourself? Can you wake up at 5 a.m. and chase a goal without her validation? Or were you just existing as a passenger in your own life, waiting for her affection to feel alive? She doesn't want a man who worships her. She wants a man she can't figure out. A man who doesn't flinch. A man who makes her elevate herself to stay beside him. If she left, it's because that's not who you were, but it's who you become now. In the mirror, in the quiet, in the suffering, you rebuild everything: your diet, your training, your income, your posture, your social circle, your self-image, your values, your voice. No more people-pleasing, no more emotional outbursts, no more fake masculinity masking as anger. You face your truth without flinching. You admit that you let yourself go, physically, spiritually, emotionally. You admit you wanted her more than you respected yourself. You admit you were scared to lose her because deep down you believed you couldn't do better. And now you prove that fear wrong. You take your insecurities and expose them under light. You say, I was needy, I was desperate, I lacked purpose, I lost my edge. And instead of pretending, you rebuild from the bones. You journal until your emotions bleed out onto the page. You train until your body screams. You set goals that scare you. You cut out every toxic friend that drains your drive. You stop watching mindless content. You stop masturbating to fantasies that rob your soul. You stop drinking to escape. You start facing the silence and loving the storm. You stop being the man who needs affection to feel powerful and become the man who is power, whether loved, hated, or feared. Because that's what you were born for, not to chase love, but to radiate dominance, not to beg for validation, but to command respect. You think she was your purpose. She wasn't. She was a mirror showing you what you lacked. And now that mirror is shattered, and all that's left is you, raw, real, rebuilding. And during no contact, you don't heal by avoiding pain. You heal by immersing yourself in it and owning it like a warrior. You stare into the abyss of every flaw you've hidden under romance and say, "It dies. Today." Because if you don't, the next woman will see the same weakness. She'll see the same excuses, and she'll leave the same way. And this cycle will repeat until your soul has nothing left. So no, this isn't just about her. This is about your future, your bloodline, your kingdom, your legacy. It's about the fire you were meant to wield that you let die for comfort. And now it's time to relight it. Every decision you make in this season echoes in your destiny. Every rep, every book, every morning you get up with fire in your chest. Every night you go to sleep with peace instead of pain. That's how you win. That's how you evolve. And that's how, one day, when she looks at you again, she won't even recognize the man in front of her. Because he didn't just change. He resurrected. He faced every demon. He embraced every flaw. And he built a life so powerful that even she wouldn't dare try to walk back into it. Number 3. Train until you're unrecognizable. Your body doesn't lie. It's the reflection of every decision you've made when no one was watching. Look at yourself. Are you proud? Or are you comfortable? Are you built for war or waiting for love? She looked at you and saw softness, not just in your body, but in your presence, your posture, your eyes. She didn't feel fire. She didn't feel fear. She didn't feel the heat that commands respect without a word. That's why she left. That's why she doubts you now. Because what woman stays with a man who can't even dominate himself? You think it was about chemistry? About compatibility? No, it was about polarity. She needed to feel your power, not in words, in aura. And your aura starts with discipline. You don't get it by journaling alone. You don't become magnetic by reading quotes. You become it through steel, through pain, through sweat, through routine that breaks and rebuilds you. You build a physique that silences rooms. You move in a way that makes other men step back, and women lean in without even knowing why. You enter every space with unspoken authority, not because you fake confidence, but because your body has learned the language of suffering. And that kind of man is rare. He's respected. He's envied. He's remembered. You don't train for revenge. You train because strength is the ultimate freedom. When your body is a weapon, your mind is calm. When you know you can endure pain, you stop fearing loss. You stop fearing rejection. You stop fearing her leaving. You stop fearing her silence. Because now you've built silence within yourself, and it's louder than any attention she could give. During no contact, if your muscles aren't aching, you're not healing. If your breath isn't heavy from exertion, your mind is still heavy with obsession. Replace pain with pain. Replace mental weakness with physical fatigue. Turn every thought of her into reps, into sets, into growth. Don't just go to the gym, become the gym. Make pain your church. Make iron your confessional. Turn every lift into a prayer for your rebirth. When you feel like texting her, drop and do 100 push-ups. When you feel weak, run 5 miles. When you're aching for her voice, hit the bag until you can't lift your arms. Let her memory fuel your evolution. Not because you want her back, but because she lit a fire in you that you will never allow to die again. Train like your future depends on it, because it does. Modern relationships are brutal. Comfort is a curse. Weakness is punished. You don't get points for trying. You don't get rewarded for being nice. You get tested relentlessly. Every woman today has more options, more distractions, more validation than ever before. If you're not the most disciplined man in her orbit, she will find someone who is. That's not bitterness, that's nature. Women are wired to chase safety, strength, power, and if you think she's going to stick around for your potential, you're dreaming. She wants results. She wants proof. She wants a man who isn't working out of desperation but living out of dominance. So you train until even your silence intimidates. You train until your walk makes noise in her soul. You train until she can't even look at your profile without feeling regret punch her in the chest. And most importantly, you train until you no longer care, because this isn't about her anymore. This is about reclaiming the edge that life stole from you. Society softened you, relationships drained you, emotions distracted you, but no more. You rebuild brick by bloody brick. Start with your morning, wake up before the world, cold shower, fasted cardio, read 10 pages, meditate, hit the gym with rage in your chest and clarity in your mind, log every rep, log every set, log every meal, build momentum, cut sugar, cut alcohol, cut excuses. You don't reward yourself for showing up. You show up because that's who you are now. You build discipline not because it's trendy, but because your future family deserves a man who doesn't break under pressure. You want to be a father, a leader, a protector. Then be the man who eats pain for breakfast. Be the man who can carry the weight of life and smile through it. Training isn't about aesthetics, it's about identity. Every drop of sweat is a reminder that you are no longer that soft, desperate version of yourself who waited for her to choose you. You choose yourself now, and the world will feel it. You don't need her eyes. You don't need her words. You don't need her touch. You need reps. You need routine. You need rhythm, because those things build what no woman can ever take away, your edge. And when that edge sharpens, everything changes. Your posture straightens, your voice deepens, your eye contact strengthens, your energy becomes undeniable. You become the man she never thought you could. Be the man who doesn't check her profile, who doesn't stalk, who doesn't care, who is too busy becoming a king to chase a queen who walked away. During no contact, if you're not transforming, you're wasting time. Pain is inevitable. Use it, channel it, let it crush your weaknesses, let it expose your flaws, let it break you, and then rebuild you into a version so raw, so primal, so unapologetically masculine that the world has no choice but to respect you. This is your chance. Don't waste it by waiting. Move now, sweat now, suffer now, because that suffering turns into power, that pain turns into presence, that loss turns into legend. Be the man who trains in silence and lets the results do the talking. Be the man who walks into a room and doesn't need to say a word, because his body speaks for him. Be the man who rises from heartbreak like a beast unchained. Not for her, but for you. Because the world respects warriors, not wishers. And if you ever loved her, let that love become legacy. Let it sculpt your body, sharpen your mind, and elevate your life. Let her leaving be the beginning of your domination. You train until you're unrecognizable, not to win her back, but to never lose yourself again. Number 4, build a mind she can't manipulate. She controlled you without touching you. She didn't need to scream. She didn't even need to speak. A look from her, a pause in her reply, a change in her tone, and your whole world shifted. You started doubting yourself. You wondered what you did wrong. You replayed conversations, crafted explanations, begged the silence to speak. Because she trained you. Slowly, subtly, not with violence, with softness, with emotion, with silence as a weapon. And you, like most men, handed over your mind before you even realized what you'd lost. That's how manipulation works. It doesn't break you all at once. It makes you question yourself layer by layer, and during no contact, if you don't rebuild that mental armor, you will fall again, to her or the next woman who plays the same game in a different body. Because this is deeper than love. This is psychological warfare. And if your mind is weak, no amount of muscle or money will save you. You think your thoughts are yours. They're not. Most of them were planted, conditioned, programmed by her reactions, her approval, her absence. She rewarded your compliance, punished your truth. She trained you like a dog, and now, during no contact, you're still chasing her validation even in her silence. You imagine what she thinks. You interpret what she posts. You create fantasies where you win her back, not realizing you're still enslaved to a woman who walked away. That ends now. You rebuild your mind, or you stay her emotional puppet. There's no middle ground. You think being smart protects you. Intelligence isn't immunity to manipulation. Discipline is, and you build it like a fortress, brick by brick. You start with awareness. You track your thoughts. You catch the ones that orbit around her, and you kill them on sight. Not because you're heartless, but because you're at war, and the enemy is inside. You don't let your mind wander. You command it, like a general in combat. You feed it only what makes you sharper. Books that teach you dominance, audio that cuts like blades, silence that teaches you to listen inward. You stop escaping, you stop numbing, you stop scrolling, because dopamine is the drug they use to control you. Every notification you chase is another leash on your mind. You think you're free, but your emotions are hijacked by algorithms, by women, by trauma. Reclaim it. Own your mornings. Before the world speaks, speak to yourself. Read pages that stretch you. Journal truths you're afraid to admit. Meditate not to relax, but to observe, to catch your patterns, to burn the lies, to hear the inner voice that used to roar before it got tamed by her approval. No contact isn't silence. It's the sacred ground where your mind is reforged. You teach it new truths, that attention isn't love, that distance doesn't define your value, that the one who leaves isn't stronger, just louder. You must become so mentally fortified that she could call you, cry to you, beg you, and your pulse wouldn't rise. Because you've seen through it. You've studied manipulation. You've learned human nature. You know how guilt is used, how fear is triggered, how love is weaponized. And now you're immune. You no longer beg for clarity. You create it. You don't wait for closure. You decide it. You don't wish for peace. You become it. And the moment your mind is unshakable, her control dies. Women can't manipulate men they don't emotionally own, so take back your emotions, command them, convert them. Every ounce of pain you feel is energy, either used to break you or build you. You decide. She left. She moved on. She didn't choose you. Fine. But that's not the end. That's the spark. And now you turn it into a fire that never dies. You do this not to impress her, but to liberate yourself. Because a man who is mentally free is the most dangerous man alive. He sees through games. He doesn't chase what doesn't choose him. He isn't addicted to feminine energy. He loves it. He appreciates it. But he never needs it. His purpose is his addiction. His growth is his mistress. His silence is sacred. And his mind is a kingdom where no one enters without earning access. That's who you become now. During no contact, you don't just ignore her. You erase her power over you. You study women, not to control them, but to understand why you fell, why you tolerated so much, why you ignored your gut, why you put her first when she saw you as a backup. You look at your past and dissect it like a crime scene, not to blame, but to never repeat. You learn frame. You learn boundaries. You learn how to say no without flinching. You stop over-explaining. You stop defending. You stop trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't seek validation. You exude direction. You stop texting paragraphs. You start speaking in presence. You stop proving your worth. You start being worth. That shift doesn't happen overnight. It's built in every decision, in every time you resist the urge to text her, in every time you catch yourself fantasizing and pull yourself back, in every morning you wake up with war in your veins and clarity in your chest. You build habits that reflect who you're becoming, not who you were. You don't skip workouts. You don't miss reading. You don't entertain distractions. You live like your future self is watching, because he is. And he's begging you to stop being a slave to a woman who discarded you. She's not the villain. She was just the mirror. She showed you what you lacked. And now, in the silence, you either shatter that mirror or you let it define you forever. You're not soft anymore. You're sharp. You're clean. You're aware. You don't need her eyes to feel seen. You don't need her words to feel worthy. You are a man, a creator, a destroyer, a builder, and your mind is the throne that governs your empire. Guard it, fortify it, honor it. During no contact, every thought is a choice. Every reaction is a risk. Every silence is a signal. Use them, master them. Be the man who doesn't need closure because he closed the door himself. Be the man who walks through fire and smiles. Be the man whose mind is a mystery even to himself, because that man can never be manipulated again. Number 5. Lead a life that makes her irrelevant. She expected your life to slow down without her. She assumed you'd sit in silence, scrolling through her feed, wondering who she's with, waiting for a message that never comes. Because that's what most men do after a breakup. They collapse, they pause, they grieve while their entire existence remains frozen in time. But your edge is forged by what you do in the shadows. The question is, are you building something so undeniable that her memory doesn't even survive in your world anymore? She became the center of your thoughts because you made her the center of your life. You stopped evolving the moment she entered the picture. You adjusted your routines, lowered your standards, bent your plans to match her comfort. And now that she's gone, you're disoriented, like a king who forgot how to run his own kingdom. That ends today. You stop making her absence the theme of your life. You start creating such a powerful presence that her memory shrinks into insignificance. You wake up and attack your day with force. Not for revenge, but because there's purpose burning in your chest. You don't check your phone for her name anymore, because your mission is louder than her silence. You don't fantasize about making her regret leaving. You're too busy becoming the man who wouldn't even let her back in. You rebuild your identity from the ruins. You pick up the pieces of the man you once were and melt them into steel. You lead your life like a man possessed, not by pain, but by direction. Your calendar is full, with things that matter. Your time is expensive. Your energy is sacred. You start a business. You improve your craft. You expand your mind. You create systems that turn chaos into order. You build habits that are so consistent, they turn into your character. And that character, that becomes your new currency. In a world obsessed with short-term dopamine, you move with long-term vision. She lives for validation. You live for legacy. She posts for attention. You build in silence. She flirts with strangers. You network with men who challenge you. You become so focused that she starts to feel your absence, not because you're quiet, but because you're unreachable. And the truth is, when a woman senses she's been replaced by purpose, she feels it deeper than if she were replaced by another woman. Because she knows she can compete with other women, but not with the version of you who's locked into his mission. Your glow-up shouldn't be physical alone. It should be spiritual, financial, mental. You don't just change what you look like. You change the way you move, the way you speak, the way you make decisions. Every choice you make echoes through your future. Every morning you wake up early. Every book you finish, every dollar you stack, every connection you build, it adds to the gap between who she remembers and who you've become. That gap is power. That gap is respect. That gap is your revenge. Silent, mature, untouchable. You lead your life with discipline. You choose hard over easy, pain over pleasure, delayed gratification over temporary comfort, because you understand something she never did. Fulfillment doesn't come from being liked. It comes from becoming great. She wanted your attention. You now give your attention only to what multiplies your value. That includes your health, your goals, your circle. You cut off friends who don't grow. You block distractions that drain your focus. You build so much internal certainty that no one can shake it, especially not someone who left. During no contact, you become so immersed in your own progress that checking on her becomes irrelevant. Not because you're bitter, but because she's not part of your ecosystem anymore. You've evolved beyond needing her to see you. You see yourself. You validate yourself. You push yourself. You learn to say no. You learn to walk away. You learn to look in the mirror and smile at the man who's rising from the ashes. The man who doesn't beg, who doesn't chase, who doesn't explain himself to people who left. That man walks in rooms and doesn't need to speak. His energy says it all. And one day, she will feel that energy from a distance. She'll see you through someone else's post. She'll hear about you through someone else's praise. And in that moment, regret won't come from your silence. It'll come from your elevation. Because while she moved on out of boredom, you moved up out of discipline. You became irreplaceable. Not because you were loved, but because you became the man love chases. And you lead your life from that place now. You make moves she doesn't know about. You create results she can't ignore. You don't need her curiosity. You don't crave her reaction. You're too far ahead. You don't talk about growth. You embody it. You don't seek closure. You create chapters so powerful that the past becomes irrelevant. And you don't obsess over the woman who left. You attract the kind of woman who would never dare to. That's what happens when you lead a life that's so complete, so disciplined, so intentional, that no woman becomes your anchor again. She becomes a footnote, a phase, a distant lesson wrapped in a beautiful face. And you become the man she'll never understand because you're no longer who she left. You don't need her validation. You don't need her forgiveness. You don't need her to look back, because your eyes are set on the summit. And every day, every habit, every decision is a step closer to the man you were always meant to become. The one she wasn't patient enough to see. The one she wasn't deep enough to respect. The one she could never handle. And now, she's no longer relevant. Not because she wasn't beautiful, but because your life became too powerful to make room for someone who couldn't see your potential when it was still being built. That's the goal of no contact. Not to wait, not to wonder, but to win. Quietly, consistently, unapologetically. Number 6, burn the weakness out of you. She didn't leave because she wanted something better. She left because she saw that you didn't have the strength to become it. Weakness isn't just about being soft. Weakness is hesitation. Weakness is compliance. Weakness is the quiet fear you carry behind your words, your eyes, your body language. Weakness is when you let her test your limits and you never push back. When you think being nice will keep her loyal. When you keep forgiving red flags because you're scared of being alone. Weakness is when you can't walk away from disrespect. And during no contact, every second is your chance to burn that weakness out of you, not with words, not with hope, but with absolute execution. Weakness is not what hurt you. Weakness is what kept you in pain long after she left. It's what made you check your phone. It's what made you cry in silence while pretending you're moving on. It's what made you lower your standards just to feel close to someone who stopped respecting you the moment you stopped respecting yourself. You say you're strong, but if she texted right now, would your hands shake? Would you hesitate? Would you break no contact and dive headfirst into the same cycle that destroyed you before? If the answer is yes, then that's the weakness we kill. You don't manage it, you annihilate it. You take the parts of yourself that needed her and you rip them out. The validation seeker, the emotional beggar, the boy who needed love to feel whole, and you replace him with something dangerous, something undeniable, something she never expected you to become, because a man who still craves closure is a man still chained to her control, and closure doesn't come from her words, it comes from your fire, from the rituals you build when nobody is watching. You stop saying, "I deserve better," and you start becoming better. You shut your mouth and start producing. You speak only when your presence demands attention. You don't argue anymore. You don't chase anymore. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be respected. You start fasting, not just from food, but from weakness, from excuses, from scrolling, from neediness. You embrace discomfort because that's the breeding ground of strength. You choose cold showers because it resets your nervous system and forces your brain to obey. You train at 5 a.m. because that's when most men are still sleeping in their fear. You push beyond failure, not to get a six-pack, but to build a mind that doesn't quit. You say no when your body screams yes, because discipline is louder than desire. You look in the mirror and stop asking if you're enough. You decide that you are. You stop reaching out. You stop explaining. You stop fantasizing, because every fantasy about her is a delay in your destiny. You've got a mission now, a war to fight, a body to rebuild, a purpose to lead, and weakness has no place in that journey. You stop venting to friends who coddle you. You surround yourself with killers, men who call you out when you're slipping. You get around accountability. You stop tolerating softness in your life. No more late nights numbing yourself with distractions. No more playing victim. No more blaming her. She exposed your weakness. Good. Now use it. Let her walking away be the last time anyone underestimates you. You think your heart is broken? That's not your heart breaking. That's your ego dying. That's the boy inside you being ripped apart so the man can rise. But he can't rise if you keep patching the wound with comfort. He can't rise if you keep trying to find love before you've found yourself. You build so much self-respect that her opinion no longer penetrates your frame. You cut off corn. You delete her number. You block her access. Not out of hate, but because the man you're becoming has no space for energy that drained him. And the next time you feel that emotional wave coming, that urge to text, that punch of loneliness, that ache in your chest, you don't run from it. You sit in it. You let it burn. And in that burn you whisper to yourself, "Good, let it hurt. Let it fuel me." That's how you burn weakness, by letting pain sharpen you instead of soften you. Most men drown in heartbreak. Few use it to rise. You rise now, not tomorrow, not after a sign, not after she regrets it. You rise because it's who you are. You put in reps while others scroll. You fast while others binge. You create while others consume. You face your demons and thank them for showing up. And when people look at you and ask what changed, you don't answer. You let your presence speak. Because words are cheap, results are final. During no contact, the weak wait and wish. The strong execute and evolve. You're not in no contact. You're in rebirth. Every second of silence is a test of your character. Will you fold or will you forge? And if you fail, you start again and again and again, until the man you used to be is a ghost, until she looks at you and sees nothing familiar, not in your face, not in your voice, not in your energy. You become unrecognizable because the man she knew was built on weakness. And the man you are now, he's built on discipline. You don't rise by chance, you rise by choice. She left. And that was your invitation to become who you were always meant to be. Not a man who waits, not a man who explains, but a man who moves. A man of silence, power, and unshakable presence. This isn't about her anymore. It's about you versus who you were. You either stay buried under heartbreak, or you burn through the pain and stand on top of the ashes. You are not broken. You are being built. Every second of silence is your battlefield. Every day without her is a gift. Use it. Own it. Dominate it. Because the man who rises from this becomes untouchable. If this message lit a fire in your soul, like, comment, and subscribe. Comment below, "I rise from the ashes." Support this channel so more men can hear the truth and rebuild their power. Your support makes this mission global. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, and watch how many kings rise beside you.